Welcome to the Fierce and Fit Mentor Podcast. I'm your host, 𝗧𝗏 𝗪, a holistic health coach dedicated to helping women over 40 achieve their fittest, fiercest selves. Each week, we'll dive deep into the unique challenges of menopause, including belly fat, weight gain, muscle building, hormonal imbalances, and more. These episodes are recorded live from my free Facebook group, Fierce Women Sculpting Powerful Bodies and Champion Mindsets. Be sure to check the link in the show notes to join our incredible community and access free content, challenges, and resources designed just for you. So this is the Fierce Women Community Sculpting Powerful Bodies and Champion Mindset. And this is week 3 of our 4-week bikini series. So we had the first week, metabolic signaling. Second week, you had beautiful 𝗪𝗍 on muscle over cardio because she loves the topic of muscles. And then, of course, this week we are dealing with hormones. And if you know me, I'm a hormone specialist in that area of really knowing hormones inside out, backwards, inside out. I can talk to you in my dream probably about hormones. Okay, so and this is super important because in the end,
who's he supposed to be?
Your body, oh, everybody, if you can mute yourself. Awesome. So let's actually jump into it and let's talk about the hidden signals. We're going to talk about 7 hidden signals and how to create better hormone signals in the last part of my life. Okay. So we're going to start with, well, first some concepts and then go into the signal number 1. So the first thing is understanding that a lot of women, their thought process is, I need more discipline. I need to diet more. I need to be more conscious of my food. I need more cardio. I need more willpower. And it's not that necessarily is totally wrong, but what I want each woman on here to think about is if you have problems losing weight, if you have a belly, if your body is not responding, then it means, hi, 𝗵𝗲, she just popped in here, yes. Then it means that your body is receiving some sort of stress signal, okay? So that stress signal could be you're inflamed, you're under recover, you're hormonally dysregulated in one of those areas, okay? So you have to ask yourself, like, is your body not responding? Is it that you're not losing weight? Is it that you are stalled? What is the signal that your body is having problems with? Yeah. So your hormones, I want you to think about your hormones do not work independently. They work as a system. And this is the thing I want to make sure that today you guys really grasp is everything communicates together, and I'm going to name off a whole bunch of things. Again, if you're in my upgrade, you're going to get these notes, like if you remember. So they work together. So your stress hormones, your hunger hormones, your blood sugar regulation, your gut health, your inflammation, your recovery systems, and your muscle tissues all work together. It is a system. So meaning, again, your stress affects your hunger affects the blood sugar affects your gut health affects, well, actually it's inflammation affects gut health affects recovery affects muscle. Like they're all a system. They all run together. So I want you to think everything operates as a system together, okay? And sometimes the problem is women try to fix one area, like, I need to cut carbs, I need to go to the gym. They try to fix one area instead of a system that is together, okay? So I want some of you guys to write in the comment section, if you feel stuck. Like this is very common amongst menopausal women. Like, do you feel stuck? Like put stuck below if you're like, yeah, nothing's moving. I try everything. I'm not getting results. So again, the ones who are identifying themselves like, hey, I'm stuck, that's the first premise I want you to think about is, are you just trying to hit one thing in your routine, one or two things? Are you kind of forgetting to look at the whole system together? Okay. So Shona says, very stuck working hard. Yes. And Shona, look, you're the same as Sharon Hunt. I just met with Sharon Hunt yesterday, and Sharon works out five days a week, Sharon, and she's conscious. She's taking these supplementations and ashwagandha and all of these things. Like most women, I will tell you, and I said this to Sharon, who come to me, who are on this call, You are not someone who doesn't care about your health. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on this call. Most women who see me are extremely conscious of their health and they do everything, they try to do everything right, but somehow nothing shifts or it shifts like minutely, you know? And so this is a thing that you want to know is that you might be working very hard, but what we need is not just hard work, right, Kat? Kat Wilson, is not just hard work, it's smart work. It's strategic work towards your body that is struggling with hormonal dysregulation. Okay, so it's not just working hard, it's smart work. Okay, so we're going to go into signal number one. Okay, so hidden signal number one. And I mentioned this in my very first live before, but we're going to come back to this. Hidden signal number one is the body prioritizes survival over fat loss. So you have to just remember that if your body is under a survival signal, as most of my clients who work with me know, your body is not doing anything, let me tell you, except helping you survive. Okay. So when I say it's not doing anything, meaning it's not going to get you to your goal. If it has a survival signal turned on, your body's only priority is, are you alive? I told you this before in my first live. They don't care about your aesthetic. They don't care how much muscle you have. They don't care how pretty you look, where your curves are standing. The body only cares, are you alive? So you need to ask yourself, and if you're listening now, do you think your body is under survival? Is it giving a survival signal in your body? You could put survival if you know, but I'm going to go into it, okay? So the body is going to ask you, do I feel safe enough to recover, build muscle, release stored energy, and lower stress signaling? So again, kind of think about that. Your body is asking you, do I feel safe enough to recover, to build muscle, to release stored energy, and lower stress signal? And if the answer is no, like if your body does not feel safe, some of the signals that will follow that will be cravings will rise, inflammation will rise, recovery will worsen, fat storage will increase, hunger signals will change, and energy will drop. Okay, so I want to, yes, Debbie, I see I need to feel safe. Yes, Debbie is a process. And you need to believe in yourself, Debbie. Debbie, right? I know she always cheers everybody on, but sometimes she needs to cheer herself on. I know there's many women on here that identify like you do everything for everybody else, but not yourself. And so think about this, okay? If your body does not feel safe, notice the signals that start coming. So ask yourself this, everyone listening. Is there any of these signals you feel like your body actually has? Okay, so if it does not feel safe, it will have cravings rise, inflammation rises, recovery worsens, fat storage increases, hunger changes, and energy drops. Anything, any one of those, ladies, you guys can put below. Anything? Do you feel cravings? Do you feel like inflammation rises? Do you feel like recovery is not good? Do you feel like you can't sleep? Do you feel like energy drops? Craving, recovery, fat storage, hunger, energy drops. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking about you, Sandy. When you first came to me, I remember our consultation, you said how tired you were. You kept saying, I'm so tired. I just remember you're like, I just am so exhausted. And I'm like, that is a signal that something is really off in your body, right? And someone else had told me they can't sleep well. That's another signal. So these are signals, right, that your body is telling you. I started getting more protein and hunger levels went. Yeah, Marcel. So protein helped, right? I mean, during this bikini challenge, obviously in the bingo, we specifically work on some aspects of this, right? So now for the upgrade ladies, the ones who have my workbook, I think that's why I really wanted you to, if you look back on that workbook, I asked you to track your cravings, I asked you to track your energy, and I track, do you feel inflamed or bloated? Okay. So if you are in my upgrade, I think 25 of you are in my upgrade. if you haven't filled that in, I'm going to ask you yourself after this live to go back and fill that in, because it's very important you know where's your cravings kind of signals, where's your energy, where's your bloating, okay? So it will really help you. And Tracy Leon says most of those symptoms if I have insomnia, but proper sleep helps a lot. Exactly. So if you don't sleep well, Tracy, that immediately will cause a stress signal, right? So, so what are common stress signals like that can cause this, like, survival signal in your body? So again, I'm going to name off some of these things, which Tracy just named off one of them, but I'm going to name it off. And I want you to put down which signal you feel like you struggle with that causing stress, causing survival signals in your body. So here it is. So there's chronic dieting. So you're always dieting or trying to diet or doing some sort of program that's cutting carbs, cutting fat, cutting this. Okay. So chronic dieting is one that will put your body into survival. So as I read it out, if you feel it's you, put it below. Okay. Number 2, under eating. So you're under eating food. You're not eating enough because your reasoning is, I'm not hungry. I hear it all the time as a coach. Yes. I'm not hungry. Yes. So under eating. Under eating is very detrimental, will absolutely put your body into survival mode right away. Now, if you undereat, yes, Marilyn, and I am going to be using you as an example because as I sent you a message again, she's in my program now. I looked at her food log and I'm like, Marilyn, we worked on this in our transformation program. Yes. But, sometimes you forget as time has gone on. So undereating is not just in calories, but under eating in macronutrients. So what do I mean by that? You could be eating lots of calories, like I said before, but you're not eating the right combination of macros. Okay. So now Marilyn is not all, like, it's not that she has all, but some areas. So I'm just going to use one example, right? So in like her snacks, she had plum, orange, banana, and cucumber. Now on a person will like, well, that's fruits and vegetables, it's healthy, right? But as most of you have followed me for a long time, that, in my opinion, is not healthy, right? That's not healthy. Plum, orange, banana, and cucumber. She might say, I want to eat a banana, Clarice. That's still not healthy. She might say, I just ate a cucumber, and I'm going to tell you, I know you guys are going to be like, what? Cucumber by itself is not healthy. Okay. Now, I'm saying that from a standpoint of macro balance. If your body only receives cucumber, what is your body getting? What's the signal? Ask yourself, what is it getting? The thing is, I want you guys to think about this. People are, sorry. Ladies, everyone, I need you to stop. Please look at your screen. Have you muted yourself? Because there's more sounds that's coming through. Okay, perfect. Awesome. So and people will be like, but that's not true, Clarice. Cucumber is healthy. But I need you to understand what I am saying in context. My context of as a hormone coach is, what is the signal you send your body when you eat just a cucumber? What is the signal you send your body when you just eat a banana? What is the signal that you are sending your body? And it has to do with the combination of macronutrients in there. Same with Megan Dave. I mean, she would be eating a banana like that or something else, but her signals were imbalanced. The nutritional profile into her body is imbalanced, and that creates a problem with the signals for safety. Remember what my topic is right now is safety, is your body will still send you a survival signal. Okay. So this is where I'm starting to be like, I need to understand that you're under eating. When I say under eating, is I see it all the time. Women do not create the right balance in their food and nutrition, and they force their body into survival mechanism. Okay. So put it below. Are you chronic dieting? Are you under eating? Do you have poor sleep? Do you have emotional stress? Do you have excessive cardio? And I'll just stop here for a second. So excessive cardio doesn't mean like you can't do cardio, because I just remember talking to you, Jane, and she was like, I'm going to do these runs and you might not like it, Clarice. And I was like, what? I'm like, no, I'm a dancer. I like cardio. I just mean don't do excessive cardio. And this is where I think sometimes too, like just being careful when I am on a live and I'm speaking, you need context. And I can't always, it will become a 5 hour live if every time I stop to give context. But you need to be cautious when you listen to what I say because you need to think, what does she mean? And what's the context surrounding it? You need cardio. Your heart is a muscle. So it doesn't mean don't go do cardio. You need cardio. You just don't do it in excessive where I'm seeing women doing like an hour or going crazy in cardio. I'm just meaning don't do excessive cardio. So being careful about that. Another survival signal that you force your body into survival is blood sugar crashes. So blood sugar crashes is improper macros. It comes from that again. Blood sugar crashes come from improper timing, and blood sugar crashes come from not understanding hidden inflammatory markers. There are many names, just so you guys know, of sugar. There's like, yeah, on labels, they're just very tricky. They don't say sugar on there. They're just tricking you with some of the names on there, and they're actually still sugar for your body. Okay. So I'm seeing lots of people coming in with the different thank you for contributing, under eating, emotional stress, under eating and macros lose. Yeah, improper macros and timing. Exactly. So blood sugar crashes is another survival signal. Overtraining, that was you, Kat. I know not everybody's an overtrainer, but my high achievers, if we have high achievers on here, high achievers tend to be overtrainers. Yeah. High achievers, low protein, so not enough protein. Someone has said, yes, that is a stress signal. And inflammation, not knowing what inflames your body. So, everyone, for a minute, I want you to look down again at your belly. Okay, unless you are super flat in your belly, if you have a belly, you have inflammation. I have said this before. Look down at your belly. Do you have a belly? If you have a belly, it means you are struggling with inflammation almost 98% of the time. Maybe there's a 2% kind of some other factors, but 98% you have inflammation. So Marcel says yes. So put below, who here still has a belly and believes they have inflammation? Put below belly or inflammation. So before I dive into the next signal, I just want to reference one of my lives that I did, which was the 6 types of belly fat shapes. And that one is a super popular one. And obviously, most ladies who come before they talk to me, I want you to watch this live, the 6 types of belly fat shapes. Now, I want to bring this up because, again, most of you say you have a belly. And I want you to think about the different types of belly I had mentioned on that live. I'll name them off. And if you have a belly, your belly is actually telling you a signal. So, for example, inflammation belly, I had said, tends to sit higher up and it's distended, bloated, So is your belly like that? Is it telling you I have inflammation? If your belly goes down to the bottom and is hanging low and scooping downwards, it can be cortisol, it could be thyroid. Thyroid tends to be more all over, but I'm going to combine the two without getting into too much details. Cortisol, thyroid. So maybe your system is telling you I'm really stressed. There's something wrong with like the cortisol, with the cortisol dysregulation, right? Um, and then visceral fat is in the middle. So when you look sideways, how thick you are in the middle is visceral fat. And visceral fat will tell you usually have not only cortisol, but also insulin resistance, something to do with carbs. Okay. So if you think about, am I really thick in the middle of my belly? Right? That could be you have visceral fat and maybe insulin resistance.
If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Listening on Spotify, tap that 5-star rating. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave a quick review. It really helps the show reach more women.
So that's hidden signal number 1. Let's go to hidden signal number 2. Okay, hidden signal number 2 is loss of muscle changes hormone signaling. Okay, so the hidden signal number 2, why I say it's hidden is a lot of you may not know that you're losing muscle every day, every week, every month. This is a hidden signal because as you lose more and more muscle, your signals change in your body. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about this, right? So muscle is your metabolically active tissue. As women age and their estrogen declines, muscle loss accelerates, okay? And it will accelerate if you're not intentional about it. So I'll talk about what it means to not be intentional or what happens why you're losing muscle so fast in a bit. But as you lose muscle, your insulin sensitivity will worsen. So your insulin response, how it's responding to carbs, if you remember me saying that, will change. Okay. So this is the thing is like we need muscle. We kind of know this in the back of our head, but we may not be aware that we are not building muscle. Okay, we are losing it faster than we are building. And one thing I want you to know, even for a young person, okay, even for a 20 or 30-year-olds, because Oshone competed, I competed in my 20, 30s. Like we know that even at a young age, your body is always catabolic more than anabolic. Catabolic means breaking down muscle, then building muscle. This is the natural process of bodies, okay? Males are slightly different because they have so much testosterone that they have more anabolic signals, okay? But as a woman, you're always fighting this constant catabolic signal in your body, okay? So, um, so I want you to think about this, okay? Muscle is one of the body's biggest glucose disposal organs. So it's your muscle is the tissue that will pull glucose, sugar, all of this, okay? It's the biggest glucose disposal organ. So the less muscle you have or the more muscle you're losing, the worse your blood sugar regulation is, okay? So this contributes to cravings, energy crashes, more belly fat, more inflammation, and more insulin resistance. So you're going to give you some more science here, okay, about the muscle side. So resistance training by itself, like really knowing how to build muscle, will improve GLUT4 glucose transporter, okay? And GLUT4, you might have heard me talk about it, and Oshone talks about it, okay? So what is GLUT4? GLUT4, its job is to pull glucose or sugar out of the bloodstream into your muscle cells as energy, okay? And insulin, that hormone, helps activate GLUT4 activity, okay? So when we say someone is insulin sensitive, that means their GLUT4 response is very good. So like glucose is being cleared out of the bloodstream, there's no blood sugar spikes, there's better energies, there's fewer cravings, and less fat storage, okay? So when you're GLUT4 and you're insulin sensitive, this is what happens. But this is what happens when someone is becoming insulin resistant, and it comes when they're sedentary, they sit a lot, they're under muscle, there's not enough muscle in their body, and they're chronically inflamed, okay? So this describes a lot of the women I meet, okay? They have a thicker belly already, I can tell they have insulin resistance. They have a sedentary job, they sit more. They have low tone or they don't have a lot of muscle on their body, even despite working out. Working out to me does not mean someone has a lot of muscle. I have met too many women who come to me and they say they work out 5 days a week and I don't see enough muscle in their body. So under muscled and then chronically inflamed is like you could be doing everything right, but you're missing things that are causing inflammation in your body. And that still affects GLUT4 transporters. Okay. So when GLUT4 response becomes less efficient, then glucose stays in the bloodstream longer, your insulin rises, more fat storage signaling goes to the middle of the belly, your cravings start to go up, and there's more energy crashes. Okay. So this is why you want to optimize the GLUT4 response, more muscle response. And something that's really interesting is when you do resistance training, and create like muscle contractions and stuff like that. You stimulate GLUT4 translocation, that's that system independent of insulin. So meaning insulin and GLUT4 work together. But if you are like working out, training, and your muscles are moving in a healthy way, you can actually stimulate more GLUT4 activity, even if your insulin is not responding that well yet. And that's how you can start to change signals in your body, because meaning like if you start training right, you start building more muscle, even though you may have a slightly faulty insulin response system, you can already start to improve GLUT4 response, more metabolic tissue response by training and resistance training. Okay, so this is why building muscles is super important. So this is why you want to ensure that you know how to resistance train and build muscle properly, so that you can have better like blood sugar regulations, better craving control, better insulin sensitivity control, and better metabolism, right? So this is kind of where I'm going to get into some other part of the science of muscle building. So in your mind, all of you guys are thinking, okay, I need more muscle building. Actually, who here, put it in the comment section before I dive into the science of this, who here believes they actually need more muscle building? Put muscle building in the comments, more muscle building. Who here believes like, okay, I need to learn how to build muscle better? Put muscle building in the comments below. Okay, I see lots coming in. Muscle building, Pam, Debbie, Luz, Rhonda, Lauren. Yep. So all of you that are coming in with the comments here. Oops, sorry. I hear my own voice. Okay, there we go. So all of you are saying this, okay? Now I'm going to give you some science about muscle building. And of course, the ones who were with me like four years ago when I did the muscle sculpting masterclass, you will kind of remember parts of this. But I want to talk a little bit about muscle building versus strength, okay? So I want to talk about this because again, I see a lot of women, and I even saw some posting last week of some YouTube links that were not really about muscle building. And it's not that it's not healthy, but I think it's very important you understand strength versus muscle building. Okay, so let's talk about this. Strength and muscle are related, but they are not identical. You can think of them as fraternal twins. Okay, fraternal twins. They're not identical. So you can become stronger, like I can lift more, I can do more, yeah, through nervous system adaptation, through better movement efficiency, getting better at the move, practicing, doing the routine longer, and improved coordination without building a large amount of new muscle tissues. Okay, so a woman can get stronger and be like, oh, the program's getting easier, I can lift more weights here, but you wouldn't have built more muscle. That's only about better nervous system regulation, better motor unit recruitment, and whatnot. So this is really important to understand. Just because you're stronger, it does not mean you have more muscle. Okay? Because I always speak about this. Number two, actual muscle tissue itself is what is super important metabolically to protect you. So yes, you need strength. Don't get me wrong. Strength is important so you can like, if you fall down, you can get back up. Strength is important. But what I'm saying is, if you have more muscle tissue itself, it will help you in many areas that maybe just strength won't. Okay. So again, more muscle tissue will help you in these areas. It will improve insulin sensitivity. It will improve GLUT4 transportation, improve blood sugar regulation, improve your metabolic flexibility, which means can you move between carb and fat usage. It will improve recovery, improve hormones, improve aging, improve bone density, and increase your resilience. So I want you to think about this. You want more muscle, not just strength. Strength is important, but you need more muscle because muscle, the muscle tissues has all these benefits in it. Okay. And muscles is an endocrine organ that influences metabolism and hormone signaling. So you're like, okay, like I think I understand what you're saying, Clary. So what I'm saying, and I'll get more deeper into this, is if you are stronger today, I'm very happy because you have one part of the fraternal twin. That's good. I want you to be strong. I want you to be able to stand up. I want you to get up. I want you to go down the stairs and be safe. I'm not saying it's bad, okay? So everything in context. But you could be stronger with not more muscle in your body. And so you're missing the other fraternal twin. If you don't have the other fraternal twin, then you're missing all those benefits I said out loud, which was improves insulin sensitivity, improved glucose transportation, improved blood sugar regulation, improved metabolic flexibility, improves hormone, improved aging, improved bone density, improved resiliency. Like all those aspects, you need more muscle in your body, not just being stronger. Okay. Now we're going to dive more into it. Okay. The science on this. So there are two ways your body will, in the muscle fibers, kind of increase. There's myofibril increase or sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Okay, there's two types. So myofibril hypertrophy is when your body increases in actual contractile muscle fibers. Okay, so this is associated with more strength and denser muscle, meaning the motor recruitment of those fibers is greater all at once. This is an example of powerlifting, like Jane Handelsman, who does that. And I always tell her, and she knows, and that's why she's in my muscle accelerator program, they are not the same. You can have better muscle unit recruitment at one time and do a bigger lift at that one time. You have a higher level of contractile muscle fiber. That doesn't mean you have more muscle in there at the same time, like or like as in is there's more unit recruitment. I have to take that back because that's not saying you could gain more dense fiber within that to create more contractile, but it's not increasing in the size and all of that. It's just more contractile muscle fiber. Okay. So you do need that though. You need more contractile usage all at once, the motor units. I don't know if you know why I'm doing this. If you ever do my muscle sculpting master classes, because they're units, like they're like on each end of your muscle, they like go like this impulse, like this, and all your fibers contract like that. They're motor units on each end. That's why you see me doing this. And so this is when you can take more fiber and pull them. That's going to create more power. Okay, more power. So this is associated with more strength. And like I said, I had to correct myself. I don't mean there's no muscle, and there is muscle. And if you are a powerlifter and you can build more dense muscle within that contractile fiber. Yes. So there's strength there. Okay. But there is a second type of hypertrophy. And the second type of hypertrophy is sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. So this is increasing in stored glucose, fluid, and energy components within the muscle. So sarcoplasmic is around the muscle and the cells, the liquid is being filled with more components and energy, and it contributes to the muscle size and fullness. Okay. And so if you think about it, when you see someone more sculpted, okay, they usually will have both, but when you see them more like less sculpted, more rounded, more, that usually has to do with sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Okay. So you need both. Okay. So we want to be balanced. You need myofibril hypertrophy and you need sarcoplasmic, which means you do want to get stronger and you do want to maintain and build muscle tissue itself. You need both. But this is where I want you to be super careful, because I see a lot of women doing and if you talk to me, I will ask you, where did you get your program? I will ask you, why are you following this program? Because is your program, which effect is it creating in your body? Because it matters, right? Because in my brain, I'm actually going like, is this program actually helping you just become stronger? There's nothing wrong with it. But are you actually building more muscle in there? Right? That's what I'm trying to think in my head, especially if you're struggling with a belly right now. And Tracy says, so hypertrophy training is key. Yes, hypertrophy training is key component for an aging woman. But I'm not saying strength training is not important because strength is very important for older women. So I'm not taking that down, but a lot of women are missing hypertrophy. So this is where I speak about MTP, menopausal training protocol, is when I talk about the training philosophy, you need both of these types of training involved and not just go all strength training with no sarcoplasmic, with no muscle-based tissue increase. I want you to have more muscle-based tissue increase because if you don't, your body is taking that away faster and faster, right? And so that's why I'm speaking about this more scientifically with you guys so that you guys can maybe stop doing the wrong program, or if you're doing some kind of group thing and you're just going there. Pamela Clark asked me, oh, I'm doing this. Should I still continue it? And I told her, like, because she's starting in June 1st and I need to build out her program. Okay, continue up to the point I build you your program, because right now her group program is good to exercise, but it may not create this type of effect. And that's what I want you guys to be more careful about, okay? So why this matters more after 40. So like I said, because after 40, your estrogen declines, your muscle loss accelerates, your insulin sensitivity worsens, your recovery changes, and your metabolism becomes less flexible. So what does this mean? It means you cannot automatically maintain muscle mass on your body. There's a lot of things that are happening against your body that is pulling that muscle fiber away, okay? So again, you want to have better muscle for better control of your metabolism, less belly fat, better control of cravings, all of that. Okay. So if you are listening to this, and I'm hoping the science helped you a little bit, again, there's a lot of science I can get into, and I want you to also take into context. Okay, I want to make sure, because sometimes when people listen to me, they think I'm saying this is not good. I'm not saying strength training is not good. It is good, but we need the balance, okay? So if you are wanting to learn about MTP, which is menopausal training protocol, put MTP below. If you're like, you know what, I feel like I get stronger, I think I'm working out, I feel good, but I don't see any changes in my body. I don't see any more muscle build in my body. I don't see that sculpting that I want you to put MTP below. Okay, put MTP below. Tracy says mobility and strength training is needed with muscle-based increase, higher reps, moderate weights versus heavy weights, low reps. I guess focus on proper form will maximize this. So muscle XR really works. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Tracy. Exactly. And it's really like, and I think Tracy, you would know. And who else was I talking to? Oh, Jane, because I think Jane and I were talking about, a lot of power lifters, like the really pro ones are actually not just power lifter, they're called power builders. Okay. And I think we talked about this, Tracy, before, is they actually understand there is a difference between powerlifting and bodybuilding, and they know it's not good to just do powerlifting. They have to do power building. They have to combine the two methodologies together in order for a more healthy, well-rounded body. And so I think just that even, that basically makes the point. You need both. MTP, Vanessa, perfect. We'll reach out to you. Vanessa, yes, exactly. Thank you, Debbie. Vanessa, I think we cannot get in touch with you. So if you can make sure to let us know how we can get in touch with you, or check your circle messages. You mentioned you need help, but we don't know how to contact you. So make sure to let us know. Gigi, Lauren, Rhonda, Karen Smith, all need help with MTP. Okay, we will connect with you a little bit more on that. Okay, so this is where I also want to talk about, we're still on the same topic, but I have one more thing to say about this muscle part is, this is why random workouts are not all equal. I want all of you to be very careful about workouts, YouTube, and changing your workouts all the time. And Kathleen Bernath is not on here. Kathleen Bernath is my muscle accelerator, but this has been our constant conversation. She needs novelty. She wants to change her workout. She wants to do all this. And if you're doing a program where it's like changing this YouTube, then this YouTube thing, be very careful, because the workouts can help you burn calories and help you improve cardiovascular fitness, but it does not help you improve or build more muscle. So be very careful about these random YouTube things, okay? And it's why, as most of you know, I had an announcement in the group on Sunday regarding not posting random YouTube things into my group, because my philosophy is very strong on this, is that if you start doing random workouts, you are confusing the metabolic signal in your body. So that's why, to protect all the women in my community, I had to post that on Sunday. And I'm going to talk about the recipes that were posted as well in a bit, okay? So random workouts are not all good. They can be good for burning calories and improving cardiovascular fitness, but not necessarily muscle build. So if you're listening to me, you're like, but then what builds muscle? There's a few things you need to really pay attention to build muscle. And that is, you need to have proper resistance training program, like a proper protocol. You need to have progressive overload, meaning you have to overload that muscle progressively, not one time, not just go lift a heavier weight, but there has to be a progression in the way you lift, progressive overload. There has to be proper recovery and proper nutrition. Yes, protein is super important, but proper nutrition, macros, everything together, okay? That's how you are going to build muscle, okay? And the ones who comment to MTP will reach out to you. That will help you with that, okay? So the key takeaway is, I want you to take away from this second hidden signal is for yourself. I don't just need stronger muscle. If you're taking notes, I don't just need stronger muscles. I need more healthy muscle tissue over time. Okay, so not just stronger muscle, but more healthy muscle tissue. This is something I want you guys to really grasp in your head, okay? Because I hear a lot of women just, yeah, they just feel stronger, but they always tell me I don't see any difference in the way my body looks. And it's telling me that the muscle tissue is not being developed. Okay, perfect. Section 3, hidden signal number 3. The next hidden signal is cortisol. Okay, again, you're like, oh, the C word. Clarice keeps coming back to the C word, okay? So hidden signal number 3 is cortisol can increase belly fat and cravings, okay? And so we want to look at this. Cortisol by itself is not a bad hormone, even though for menopausal women it can become. Cortisol is needed, as I said before. You need it to get up in the morning. In fact, every time you work out, cortisol actually rises, okay? Because it's the hormone that makes you go, right? So it is needed. But it's that the chronic cortisol dysregulation that causes the problem. It's when it's like chronically elevated, it cannot come down. That's when it's starting to cause problems. So what causes cortisol dysregulation? So I'm going to name off a number of these, and if you feel like one of them is you can put it down. So stress sources include emotional stress, sleep deprivation, not enough sleep, not sleeping well. You can put that below. Inflammation, like I said, overtraining. I smile and think of cat again. Overtraining, undereating, chronic dieting, or blood sugar instability. Which one do you feel like you are maybe spiking cortisol? Emotional stress, sleep deprivation, inflammation, overtraining, undereating, chronic dieting, or blood sugar instability. Put it below. So you want to understand what cortisol does. So cortisol can increase cravings specifically for sugar, salty, or high-fat foods because the body perceives stress and is seeking energy right away. Okay, so think about it. When your body thinks it's under stress, it wants fast energy. And usually the fastest energy is sugar, sweet things, high fat things, and salty. Now, salty has some things to do with obviously electrolytes, but salty is often associated with like carbs, like, like salt and bread, salt on this thing, like, so like pretzels or whatever. And so your body just knows like, okay, if I go for that, I'm going to get lots of fast energy, right? So sugar, salt, or high fat foods. Now, let me ask all of you, the ones who are in my upgrade group should know what you're craving and all that, because in your workbook, it asks you to track your cravings if you are doing my workbook and you're using it. What do you tend to crave? Ask yourself that, because it's a signal. What do you crave? Put below. Sugar, cupcakes, cookies, salty food, high fat foods. Put it below. These are all actually signals for you on like what your body's trying to tell you. Now, I mean, on today's live, I'm not getting into it, but actually what you crave tells me some signals in your body. Like if you're craving more sugar, it usually means there's something in your carbs that you're something with your macro combos you're not giving it. Sometimes if you crave more chocolate, I think to cat is like has to do sometimes with like magnesium and some of the elements, like so supplementation, what things are there. There's just a lot of different reasons why you want certain things. And often what I see with cravings is you're not combining foods properly somewhere in your day, and your body is very smart and it will come back to ask for it later. Okay. So, and I'm not going to go into all the meanings of different cravings because I had a live actually on cravings before where I did do that. But it just means you guys have to be careful. Like, look at what you crave and ask yourself, like, why? Like, why do I always want chips and pastry, Tina? Why? What is it that is in my day? Like, is it in my early in my morning? I'm not eating something. Am I afraid of eating regular carbs? Like, I mean, like, there's just so many reasons why your body will start to ask for things. Okay. So start looking at those cravings. Now, chronically elevated cortisol may worsen insulin resistance. It will impair abdominal fat storage. So, sorry, not impair, increase. So, if you have high cortisol, you will have more fat deposit in the middle. You will have poor recovery, worse sleep, and increased inflammation. And I said this to Sharon yesterday, in your visceral fat area, you have extra cortisol receptors. So inside the middle of your abdominal, if you find yourself having a thicker waistline, uh, because the middle has such high cortisol receptors, often if you're seeing the middle increase, it means your body is sensing a lot of stress in your body. Okay. So most women I talk to have some form of cortisol belly. Okay. Even fit people, they may be lean all over and then suddenly they have a belly. And most of the time it's showing that there is cortisol dysregulation. And I know you guys kind of indicated what kinds of cravings you have. And I think you guys already indicated what are some of the causes. But again, I want you to think again about which cortisol do you think you have? Do you have emotional stress, sleep deprivation, inflammation, overtraining, undereating, chronic dieting, or blood sugar instability? If you already answered me, don't worry, you don't have to answer again. But for anybody who hasn't answered, ask yourself, is there some cortisol signal I'm not dealing with? Is it an emotional stress response? Like, am I emotionally stressed? Am I not sleeping well? Am I not knowing what is inflaming my body? Am I under eating? Am I chronic dieting? You know, that all of that. So I notice most women over 70 have cortisol belly no matter how skinny they are. Yes. Yes. I mean, Phyllis Adam is on here. Phyllis used to be my client. She's now 75, Phyllis, I think. She can attest to that, right? Your belly comes back super fast if you don't deal with that. So over 70, you have to remember this, Tracy. And I said this to Kat Wilson too, because Kat is 50 something. I said, your body's very different from your 40 something. Wait until you get to your 60s. And my 60-year-olds, wait till you get to your 70s, you know? Um, the thing is, your hormones are dropping off so fast as you age that you want to almost imagine that as you age, your cortisol control or protection becomes less and less, like the defense line is dropping off rapidly. And Kat Wilson felt the difference in her body at 50 from 40 something. Imagine at 60, your defense line is even worse, and you don't have as much defense line against cortisol. At 70, you have even worse defense line. And that means any type of stressor you put towards your body is sending almost a wrong signal to it. This is why you have to be super intentional about your food, about the way you eat, about the way you exercise, all the things that I indicated here. Okay, so it's a good observation, Tracy, for sure. Even at my age, my belly comes back way too fast. Yes. Tracy, you are 65 now, right? Tracy worked with me for 3 years. Yeah, aging really sucks. The thing is, I think, yes, nobody says aging is great. Obviously you gain more wisdom, which is great. But what I would say is that aging forces you to be more conscious of the way you live. And that's very important. Now, I'm very lucky, and Oshone always says she's so lucky because she gets to learn early on from me, because we got into bodybuilding at a younger age, and it made us super conscious, even when we were younger, of everything coming into my mouth, how my lifestyle habits. So, some of us who are earlier into the fitness world, we became uber conscious of every hormone signal, everything like, and it became an advantage as we age. As we age, we became more and more aware, this affects this affects this. And for all of you who are kind of aging, I want you to just understand is like, it's like, okay, you're gonna age no matter what, but you just cannot be like haphazard. You can't be like go with the flow. You can't just be like, I intuitively is going to eat. I mean, I know there's this whole philosophy on intuitive eating, but it doesn't work for menopausal women. Okay. You have to be more conscious of everything you do. Okay. Intentional living. You can even put it. In fact, I think there's a book called Intentional Living. I think there is. John Maxwell, I think. But intentional living, you want to become intentional in the way you live your life. Okay. So let's go to section 4, hidden signal number 4. So the next hidden signal is poor sleep. And you guys know this. Poor sleep dysregulates hunger hormones very, very fast. Okay. So let's talk about the hunger hormones. Oh, yeah, Tracy's 64. Yeah, exactly. So, and Tracy has come a long way. I think you worked with me, Tracy, from 60 to 63, I think, if that's correct. Um, so let's talk about hunger signals, leptin and ghrelin. Okay. Leptin is your fullness signals and ghrelin is your hunger hormone. And I always say, one of my clients, what's her name? I forget. She watched my podcast. She goes, I like the way you teach. Because I said, think about this like ghrelin is grrr. It's like when your stomach growls, like grrr. That's your hunger hormone. So that's how you remember, right? Ghrelin is your hunger hormone and leptin is your fullness hormone. So 1 to 2 nights of poor sleep can increase ghrelin, hunger hormones, and lower leptin, which is your fullness hormones, and can increase cravings and worsen impulse eating. Okay, so if you don't sleep well, or let's say you wake up multiple times in the night and all of that, in itself, you already have sort of a dysregulated hormone signals, stomach signals, and uh, and you're gonna find that you'll want to eat more things, bad things, or not bad things, but just fun foods, right? We want to, it's like you're like, why do I just want more of this? Because when you don't sleep enough, your body's control center comes down. Your brain's executive functioning decreases. So your executive functioning is the logical part, the part that says, I need to do this, I need to control this. But when you lack sleep, it decreases in its function. And that's why people tend to crave things more when they don't sleep well. Okay. Okay. So I want to talk about sleep. So poor sleep can worsen insulin resistance, increase inflammation, impair your recovery, and worsen cortisol regulation.
If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Listening on Spotify, tap that 5-star rating. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave a quick review. It really helps the show reach more women.
So if you're an emotional eater, this is where you have to be super cautious of almost like, why are you emotional? Like, are you getting enough sleep? Are you monitoring your mindset? Are you, like just like a lot of like the lifestyle factors, because sometimes we may be like, oh, but I eat healthy, I go to the gym, but we're not monitoring our mindset and we're sleeping late, we're scrolling the phone. How many people do that? Scrolling your phone late at night, right? Because those affect your sleep, right? And then you're like, but and then you have this dysregulated signal in your sleeping pattern. So sleep, by the way, I will say one more thing before I move on is I think about Sandy Kessinger. because I know she said she was so exhausted when she came to me to the transformation program. But now she can sleep better. She's not so tired. And I want to make sure, again, I point this out because I hear this often. Like, again, you're like, I'm doing everything right. I'm taking my vitamins. I'm taking my supplements. I'm taking my protein powder. I'm taking my ashwagandha. I'm taking this and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, no wonder you have problems sleeping. Like you're doing too many signals to your body. Yeah. So if you have trouble sleeping or you feel like something is off, just be cautious of all the seemingly healthy things you think you're doing. Okay, that's something I'm going to say because this happened multiple times to the clients I have coached, okay, including what's her name? Leslie Bennett, and she achieved her goal, and so she's not in the community as much anymore, but she went from a 37-inch waist to a 27-inch waist, like phenomenal transformation, like Meg and Davy. And it was the same thing. She was doing all these little like supplements, yeah. And so just be super careful about that. That's all I'm gonna say, okay? So let's go to number 5 signal. So number 5 signal is gut health influences hormones more than women realize. So the hidden signal number 5 is your gut health. Okay, this is what we're going to talk about right now, is your gut health. So let's talk about this. So many women are walking around with bloating, constipation, poor digestion, inflammation, food sensitivities, and dysregulated hunger or fullness signals. And they think it's all normal aging. Okay. Let me ask all the women who are listening. Now, some of you may be fine. That's totally good. But I know some of you are struggling with this. Okay. Who here is struggling with bloating, constipation, poor digestion, inflammation, food sensitivities, or dysregulated hunger fullness signals? Put it below. Do you have bloating? Do you have constipation? Do you have poor digestion, inflammation, food sensitivities, or dysregulated hunger or fullness signals? Gigi, all of the above. Okay, so Gigi, I think we've been chatting with you, but then we need to really look at what's going on with your gut. That is telling me there's a lot of things happening inside that gut. So, a couple of things. Your gut bacteria inside your gut will influence your cravings, your mood, your estrogen metabolism, your inflammation response, your cortisol signaling, and your hunger signal. Okay. So I want to specifically talk about one area, which is called your estrobolome. Okay. Your estrobolome. So your estrobolome, ladies, is your gut bacteria inside your colon that helps you metabolize estrogen. Sharon, we talked about this yesterday on our call. This is extremely important. If you have a poor estrobolome, you will have poor estrogen, metabolism. So old estrogen recirculates into your system. And this recirculation of estrogen into your system is going to cause inflammation, bloating, and what I call poor detoxification. I will be able to see usually on your belly if I see you on a consult if you have estrogen dominance or not, right, Sharon? Because I mentioned, I believe you have estrogen dominance. I can tell usually quickly. And Leslie Bennett was an example of one of my clients, who had amazing result of poor estrogen detoxification. Okay, so you want to be really cautious. And again, you're probably going to ask me, well, what do I need to do to get better estrobolome and stuff like that? And it comes back down to the way you eat your food. Okay. One, do you have inflammation markers in your food? That's one, because that affects microbiome. But two is, what are you eating? Like, what are you eating per meal? What is entering your body at that moment together with the other foods, and also fiber, because fiber is connected to the colon. Okay. So a lot of things that you have to start to think about. So this is why you can eat healthy, but still be missing the mark of exactly what foods help your estrobolome. So things that affect the microbiome are processed foods, alcohol, stress, antibiotics, and poor fiber intake. all of this will affect your microbiome. Okay, so processed foods, alcohol, stress, antibiotics, and poor fiber intake. So what I want you guys to think about is this, okay? Some women think they need less calories. They think I need to eat less, like Sandy, like Debbie, like many women. I don't remember all, but many women think they need to eat less or they will gain weight. Okay. And I want to fix that misconception for you because a lot of you are scared to eat more, or you're like, I do eat more and then I gain weight. It doesn't work. Like I gain weight. But I want you to kind of fix that conception because really it's not because you're eating more that you're gaining weight. I'll tell you what's actually happening is that what you actually need is better digestion. You need less inflammation. You need better blood sugar stability and better recovery signaling. This is the difference. So I want all of you is anybody here afraid to eat more? Anybody is like I know there's a few of you. I already know some names, but anybody here afraid to eat more food? Anybody? Yes. Say afraid to eat more food. Cherise says yes, afraid to eat more food. Put it below. Anybody? It's a very common fear, by the way. It's a very common fear. Tina, why veneer? Okay. A lot of you are afraid to eat more food. Okay. But it's like, I'm using an example, I think one of my mentors once said is like correlation. I think he once said correlation is not causation. Okay. So he said, I remember him once saying, so if you like say, oh, like every time I see an accident, I see an ambulance there, right? You're like, so I always see an ambulance by the accident scene. So if you're just like, oh, if I every time I see an ambulance by the accident scene, imagine you are alien and you weren't in this world and didn't understand all the mechanics, you will be like, so every time I see an accident, there's an ambulance. The ambulance must have caused the accident. And all of you will smile, like, of course not, right? There's correlation. There's a great correlation there. Every time there's an accident, there's an ambulance. So correlation, if an alien was looking at this, we're like, it's the ambulance that's causing the accident. And that's how a lot of women think. If I eat more food, I gain weight. So it must be that I ate more food that I gain weight. So you're looking at correlation being causation, but it isn't. And this is what I want you guys to understand. Causation, what I'm saying here is you need to understand what causes you to gain weight is not more calories. What causes you to gain weight is you have not good digestion, your poor microbiome, poor estrobolome, you have inflammation in your gut, you have poor sugar stability in your gut, and you have poor recovery signals. Okay. And I want you guys to have these aha moments because these are the things that a lot of women don't understand and they keep cycling themselves. They keep suppressing their eating. They keep eating less. They keep cutting carbs. They cut fat. They cut all these things. And you're making the entire system become more dysregulated. Okay. So yeah, perfect, Gigi. Yeah, we'll take you on that. So if you are listening to me and you're thinking about your own gut system, about or your own stomach and like about gaining weight and always feeling like you gain weight, I want you to put below which solution you think you actually need the most. Because now I identify it's not about eating less. Look, Kat Wilson eats now at 1750. Okay. And she's leaned out. She's lean, you know. The most healthiest people eat more. They don't eat less. Okay. So I want you to put below which one is you. What do you actually need? Do you need better digestion? Do you feel like you need better macro balance? Do you think you need to learn hidden inflammatory markers? Do you think you need better distribution and timing of food? Or do you need to better understand like recovery protocols, like how to recover for your body, whether after working out, after certain things, all of them. Okay, so I'm seeing Cherie said all of them, Vanessa says all of them. Yeah, so, and if you want to say all, the term I would encourage you to use, because that's why I used it, this term is MNP, which is menopausal nutrition protocol. So if you were like everything, I needed all the nutrition principles, then it's MNP, menopausal nutrition protocol. So you need to learn all of them. Okay, Charisse, Vanessa, Karen, Luz, Vanessa, Veronica. Yes, exactly. Tina, I need better digestion, better timing. MNP, yeah. MNP is menopausal nutrition protocol. And then when I say MTP, that's menopausal training protocol, which has to do with the muscle building, building more muscle fiber tissue. Remember when I talked about that? When I talk about nutrition principles is MNP. So menopausal nutrition protocol. Yeah, I see a lot of that. We will reach out to you. Make sure you guys check your text messages, okay? So that we can connect with you. So awesome. We're going to go to hidden signal number 6, okay? So hidden signal number 6 is inflammation changes how the body responds, okay? Now, cortisol and inflammation are connected. They are not exactly the same thing. Cortisol is a cortisol hormone. Inflammation is CRP, TNF alpha, like inflammatory molecules, but they connect, okay? So anything I'm speaking about, you're like, oh, I thought you just talked about inflammation. No, I talked about cortisol. That's a hormone response. Now I'm talking about inflammation, but inflammation can cause cortisol, okay? So let's talk about inflammations, hidden signal number 6. So inflammation is not just pain or swelling. Low-grade chronic inflammation will cause you to have similar response. Like I said, you're going to have more poor insulin response. You'll have more cravings. You will increase cortisol. You will affect your estrogen metabolism. You will affect recovery and energy. So different foods affect women differently. So we're talking about inflammation molecules, okay? So different foods affect women differently. So a food can be healthy for a woman, for one woman, but can affect another woman completely differently. So this is where I want to be super cautious, okay? So I know I mentioned this on my Sunday post, is being careful about posting recipes because you may think this recipe works for you, but it could be causing inflammation in someone else's body, okay? Now, I'm going to give you some examples. Let me see what I want to do here. So, like, okay, I'm going to give you 2 examples. Now, some people, and some people know I'm not a big fan of dairy, but some people can do well with dairy depending on how metabolically healthy they are, okay? But if you start posting things with stuff in there that has that, and someone has a highly dysregulated gut system, you're actually harming them, not helping them. And this is why I would really caution against, I would really caution ladies that you be careful when you're trying to just share recipes randomly with your friends, when you do not know the hormone situation of their body or the type of belly that they have. Okay. So this is something I want to be super cautious about. Secondly, I'm going to give you an example of what seems healthy, but again, in my books, is not super healthy. But I'm not going to fully break this down for you. I just kind of give you an idea. So I saw this in Marilyn's log, and overall, it's pretty healthy. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's super healthy. But it kind of made it a little bit more, I changed it a little bit. So if I see, so for example, I saw in a meal something like olive oil, quinoa, and I added parts of this. So it's like olive oil, quinoa, avocado, and beef. So you're like, I don't know, seems pretty healthy to me. Olive oil, quinoa, avocado, you know. Now, I'm gonna always say to you, just because the individual element of that nutrition food is healthy, it does not mean the combination of that food together is healthy, right? Olive oil, quinoa, avocado, beef. And I don't want to get into a lot of science teaching, but it has to do with your ratios. What are the ratios of your protein to your fats? Okay, so I want you to be super cautious because this is kind of the thing that I'm seeing in people's logs. And I see when people post recipes, when they say, I do this, when I do this, and I'm looking at it and mentally my brain is going off like high alert, like red alert. And Debbie knows, I'll put it in my team thread and be like, this recipe, this recipe, this recipe, this recipe should not be there, because now all these people are suddenly going to dysregulate this fat ratio, then this inflammation marker, then this thing, right? And this is why I want you to be careful, because I see it all the time. People say, I eat healthy. They come to me and they tell me I eat healthy. And I say, I believe you are trying to eat healthy. I do. But are you really eating healthy? Because olive oil, quinoa, avocado, beef by itself is not bad, but that combination has some problems in it. If you think about all of those, made you think about it, right? All of them have a lot of fat in them. And I'm going to be, like I'm just as an example. And I don't know how many times I've come into coaching transformation clients, and I have seen all of these types of combinations that are very interesting. Yeah. And they're like, but I'm healthy. Avocado's healthy, quinoa's healthy, this is healthy. And I said, and where's your belly fat right now? So the thing I want you guys to keep thinking about is like, what will tell me that you are on the right track is if you actually have results. If you have a flat stomach, you're lean, you're sculpted, you have muscle, and you look like, wow, like your physique is on par, I would give you a lot more leeway on anything you do because your body is responding. But if you have belly fat on you, if I look at your face and I still see inflammation on it, I tell people always, I forget who one of my clients, is it Meg? I can't remember one of the, and every time, oh no, Jackie Bertrard, she followed me for years. And from the beginning of her program till now, every time she comes on the call, I'm like, your face, oh my gosh, it's so lean, because even if you don't show me your belly, if I look at your face and I see the puffiness, I already know you are not eating as healthy as you should. And I will know, even if you tell me you eat healthy, even if you tell me you eat celery and you eat cucumbers and you eat whatever, there's something off in the way you're eating. And that's just one example. I'm giving you purposely the example. And by the way, Marilyn, she's like, hey, wait, I didn't eat fully like that. I changed some of her, but I saw some examples of her meals that I was like, I don't really agree with it. But I just want you guys to, as an example, right? I see this happen with protein. I see this happen with carbs. I see this happen with the things that you're eating where I'm like, wow, like that's not healthy, even though by itself, the element of that food is healthy, but by that combination, it's not healthy. Yeah, exactly. So Tracy wrote exactly that. The fat is disproportionate in that combination. Exactly. So if your inflammation, so talking about inflammation, okay? So inflammation will cause bloating, cravings, fatigue, water retention, poor digestion, and inflammation. So the question you need to ask yourself is not, is this healthy? Okay, so when you go shopping, ladies, do not ask, is this healthy? What you need to ask is, how does this food respond in my body? That is the difference. So don't ask, is this food healthy? Ask, does this food, or how does this food respond in my body? Okay. So put it below. If for you, you're like, okay, like this is a big mindset shift. Like put it below if it's like a mindset shift. Okay. So put mindset shift below. If you're like, oh, I always ask, is it healthy? Right? And it's not that necessarily like as in layman terms, you could say that, but I want you to change the way you think, right? If it's a mindset shift, you need to change it to, how does this food respond in my body? Okay. So put mindset shift if you're like, yeah, like that's different for me, right? Because I think this is where you won't get caught up onto all the IG, TikTok, people posting recipes. and the next fit girl is posting this like cottage cheese thing with this and blah blah blah, all this type of stuff, and you won't be like, well, she's super fit and she posts this recipe, so it must be healthy. Stop right there. Because if you say that, you're asking the wrong question. You go, wow, that's a cool recipe. She looks really fit. Now I wonder how that food responds in my body. Make sense? Everybody, does this make sense? I want to help you switch the way you think so you don't get caught up onto all this like Pinterest, TikTok, all these random recipes everywhere. Okay. So, Lou says, I was told before not to eat raw vegetables, but my digestion's better with it. Lose exactly. So exactly this comment, right? One pro will say, oh, you should eat more raw vegetable. Another pro says, don't eat raw vegetable. One will say eat dairy. One will say not eat dairy. One will say do this. One will say no. And I want you to be cautious because it's like there is actually reasonings for both sides. There's raw diets. There's people who eat raw things. There's people who eat, say like, don't cook your vegetable. You lose all the nutrition. Then there's the next person that says, no, you need to cook your vegetables because they're like more harmful microbiomes on that you need to cook your vegetables, right? So it's not that people, I genuinely believe, I genuinely believe that no one out, at least I think, I think most people are not there to like trick you. They're not. Everybody has a certain belief system. Every coach, every person speaking genuinely believes their methodology. But what they may not be teaching you is how to think about it. And that's one difference as me as a coach, I want to teach you is I want to teach you less about rules and more about principles and more about how to think about food. Because there are people who can deal with dairy well, but I could also tell you that dairy for a lot of menopausal women is probably not going to be the greatest, but there are exceptions. And then there are other exceptions on other things too. And I think this is where you have to be like, for example, if I speak to you, are you only dealing with a cortisol belly? Because that is very different from someone who is cortisol belly, uh, insulin resistant belly, and has an estrogen dominance belly. So my recommendation of food to that woman is different than the other person. So you want to be cautious and you want to be a better friend. Okay? Be a good friend. Don't be that person that says, oh, try all my recipes. Don't be that person who randomly gives all this advice to someone when you don't know their situation. Instead, teach them how to think more about food. Instead, teach them that you may need a different response or protocol based on your hormone response. Okay, then you're a better friend. Okay, a better, more healthy in the way you're teaching them. Okay. Makes sense, Luz. Awesome. Before I keep going, we're on our last signal number 7. I want to ask all of you, like, put one thing below that you're like, oh, I love learning this. Oh, I never thought about this. Put something that you were like, oh, like I like having this aha moment. Okay. Put below, what is it that you feel like you are learning on this live? And one thing I will also say as you guys come in with that response is, one thing I love following, let's say my own mentors and coaches is they always say that many people can teach you information, but the people who teach you how to think are the people you remember for the rest of your life. Because information is everywhere, but the people who teach you how to think, how to change your mindset, those are the people that impact you for the rest of your life. And this is my goal, is not give you a fish, but teach you how to fish. Right? Not just say, do this, but you need to know how to think about nutrition. You need to know how to think about workouts. You need to know how to think about all the information on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, right? So identification of signals and what type of belly you have. Yes, yeah, exactly. 𝗏 mindset. Yeah, good. 𝗏, I'm glad you're really picking up on the mindset of things. Yes, exactly. Yes, thank you for sharing that. So as you guys type and keep coming in with those responses, I'm going to go to hidden signal number 7. So hidden signal number 7, actually, I just talked about it. I guess I could probably skip this section because I already went into the whole spiel, which is why random internet advice often fails women, which is the hidden signal number 7 is random advice. So I think my brain already jumped ahead. I can go through this section really fast. Basically, women are overwhelmed by TikTok advice, YouTube workouts, random recipes, fasting trends, detoxes, and conflicting influencers. So you just have to remember not every woman responds the same way, okay? Some women thrive on fasting. Some women don't thrive on fasting, especially if they're cortisol dysregulated, you know? And so you need to have better recover, like you want to think about for yourself, what makes me recover the best? What allows me to build muscle? What allows me to stabilize blood sugar? Um, you want to ask the right things, like, not just because this recipe has a nice picture, does this help me recover? Does this help me build muscle? Does this help me bring down inflammation? Does this help me stabilize my blood sugar? Because there are some recipes where I see a lot of sugar in that, and it's like, that's not helping you, right? So remember this. I'd already said it also, I don't have to spend more time. Healthy is contextual. Okay? Write that down on your sheet, please. Write it down. Everyone write it down, please. Healthy is contextual. So please, the next time if you're a chronic dieter, if you often get confused, if you're often like, I don't know what to listen to, or I feel stuck, just try to remember that healthy is contextual, and you need to ask yourself, what is healthy for my body? And do you fully understand the hormone situation in your body? Because unless you fully understand the hormone situation in your body, you're guessing. And that's why I'm a hormone specialist. That's why when you come see me, I want to know what your belly looks like. I even asked for hormone tests. Sandy Kessinger, are you still on here? Sandy sent me all her hormone testing before she came into my program. In fact, Tracy Norman, she's not on here, but she recently told me something she's experiencing. I asked her, I need you to go get a hormone test. I need to look at it. Why? Because I need to understand your hormones. Your hormone signals, today's live is, if you're guessing, if you're like, I don't know, I think my hormones sort of healthy. I think I have cortisol, but you don't know all the different hormone signals in your body. You're half guessing. And if you want to really get a good grasp, you get your hormones tested, make sure someone knows how to interpret it. You want to send it to me. You want me to give you feedback on it, send it to me, talk to us. And I can also look at it, the hormone panel, but also your belly, because there's two things you need to know. There's a hormone test and how it's being applied in your body. So what I mean is, for example, you can get a hormone test and your cortisol levels look normal, but your belly is showing cortisol belly. So you're like, how is that possible? It's very possible, because you have to understand that hormone testing tests your hormones one point in time, and it does not look at down regulation streams. Okay, what I mean is they sometimes have, and it's because of where our science is right now. It's very advanced, but sometimes they can only test hormones at certain locations or while it's still in the bloodstream. They cannot test the hormone once it enters the cell. They cannot test the hormone, how the muscle uptakes the hormone. And this is where I will tell you that if you can get someone who is a hormone specialist, they're going to understand how to look at your hormone panel and then the uptake of the hormone signal in your body. So you can look like you have normal estrogen levels, normal cortisol levels, but the uptake in your body is irregular. And that's how I can tell based on looking at the hormone panels, your belly shapes, just the things you're describing to me. I can kind of picture what's going on. So that's something I want you to keep in mind, is like, is there anybody here who's like, oh yeah, I got my hormones done and it's normal, but I feel like I still have hormone imbalance? Anybody feel like they still have hormone imbalance? Put hormone imbalance. So yes, so make sure you know healthy is contextual. You always ask, is it healthy for my body? Okay. Last part, and then we'll wrap up. How to create better hormone signals. Okay. I know this is actually a bit long. We need to wrap up. So how to create better hormone signals. Okay. So let's look at this. How do we actually create better signaling in your body? Number one, We need MNP, menopausal nutrition protocol. So what does this mean? You need to learn how to stabilize your blood sugar better. You need to have macro balanced meals. You need to have protein consistency. You need to have good digestion support, and you need to have inflammation reduction. Okay. So just to go through that quickly, if you're like listening to me, you're like, but I don't know how to do all of that. That's what MNP is. That's what I help people with in my transformation program, all of that. So I'll repeat that again so you understand. MNP is about blood sugar stabilization. It's about protein consistency. It's about proper digestion support and healing. It's about inflammation reduction. And I mentioned macro balanced meals. Okay. So it's really important that you understand these principles. If you don't know these principles, then you need to request help on MNP. MNP, okay? Next is MTP. So in order to balance your hormone signals, we need MTP. So MTP is proper resistance training. Resistance training with, what did I say? Hypertrophy training, muscle building with more muscle fiber strength, and muscle building, muscle fiber tissue increase. So proper resistance training, proper recovery, knowing how to recover, and using muscle building principles and progressive overload. Okay. So meaning you know, don't just have a program, but you know how to progress it to get more muscle building progression. So exactly. So put MTP if you want MTP, or if you want MNP, you put MNP. If it's both, put MNP and MTP. MNP, menopausal nutrition protocol. MTP, menopausal training protocol. Okay. And the very last thing is lifestyle factors. So if you want better hormone signals, you want to improve your sleep. You want to have better NEAT, like your non-exercise thermogenic activity. So walking, like that's on your bingo card, which is great, is there. But you want to make sure there's good like lifestyle movement, right? You're not just sedentary. You want to make sure that you reduce stress as much as possible. And you want to make sure that you regulate nervous system. So find ways to calm your system down. I know that was something we worked on a lot with Kat, is calming her system down. So in terms of lifestyle factors, work on sleep, work on rest recovery, work on calming the nervous system down, work on more movement, NEAT, everyday movement type things. Okay. So I see lots of MTP, MNP. So again, Cherise, Vanessa, all of you, make sure you check your messages. And Vanessa, hopefully you have messaged Debbie about how we can connect with you. So just to wrap up, remember the body is more responsive when it feels safe and stable. So leaving this call, I want you to remember this one thing for your body is like, is anything you do, like if you're about to eat food, if you're about to exercise, if you're about to do anything, or if you're going to start a new supplement, okay, I want you to ask yourself, is my body going to feel safe and stable doing this? Okay, because if you're not sure, you're like, I don't know, it looks like online that they get good results with the supplement or whatever. Just slow down and ask. And if you don't know, come and just ask one of my team or whatever, or the 10-minute call. It's with Oshone, it's free, right? Like it's nice to talk with us. Sometimes we can help give you insight and we can give you ideas, or the consultations like Sharon Hunt and the different ones who came to my consult. You learn about your belly, right? It answers a lot of questions to you. So that's the last thing I really want you to think about, okay? And so if you hear this and you're like, you're like, I feel like my body is stuck. Do you remember a lot of you said, I feel like my body is stuck? So remember, your body is going to be stuck if it is overwhelmed, inflamed, under muscled, under recover, dysregulated, or confused by conflicting advice. Okay. It's going to be confused. So the thing I'm going to say to you, the mistake I see is that women skip a very important phase in their journey. Okay. This is the phase I see them skip. most women skip the healing phase. Healing phase. Most women want to jump to some sort of thing. So they want to go, do I need a diet? Or do I need a GLP-1? Do I need to take the supplement? Do I need to? So they jump to something they're going to do, but they skip the healing phase. And what I want you to think about is, unless your body is healed and safe, as I said before, this whole life, it will not shift for you. And so you don't skip your healing phase. That's what I will say to you. Like, if you're listening and you're like, I have a belly, I've done everything, I cannot lose my belly, I lost 5 pounds the last 6 months, but nothing else is changing. I'm doing all these workouts, I don't see muscle on my body. I want you to then go like, did I skip a healing part of my recovery process? Because the healing phase is super important. It's like priming the canvas. Any painters here? When you are about to paint on top of a canvas, and if you get a canvas that already has all this muddy water and like blah blah blah, I mean, you can paint a picture on it. I mean, a little bit better, but it isn't like so amazing. You need to prime the canvas first. And so that's what I want you guys to remember is, a lot of women are skipping the healing phase. And for Kat Wilson, who's on here, I mentioned to her, because she mentioned to me on our call, she's like, wow, my body is so different. And it's like, it was responding so fast when I was 46, 47. Now it took so long for it to respond. And I said to her, I remember saying, I said, but this is a good phase, Kat, because you're healing your body and you're healing it to a level where you can get your body back to functioning like metabolically super healthy. So the healing phase is what a lot of women tend to skip. Okay. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I need to heal my body, heal and regulate my body, put heal below. Okay. If you're skipping that phase for yourself, you need to heal and regulate your body. Okay. I see a lot of MNP. Oh, sorry, I'm not even scrolling. So many responses came in. Thank you, Clarice. Yes, you are welcome, everyone. I hope it added value. Yes, healing phase, Kat said. Exactly. My body doesn't feel safe. Exactly, Karen. So you need to go into a healing phase. Okay. So obviously, I'm very passionate. I speak with lots of enthusiasm because I want you guys to be better. And hopefully you guys understand why I didn't want you guys to randomly post recipes and workouts, because I wanted to protect your bodies and your metabolism. Okay, awesome. So hopefully you found lots of value. Don't miss next week's live on the last of the 4 weeks body recomposition. I might get Megan Davey to come in. We'll see. So, okay. And if you love this, if you love these lives and you want other people to learn, make sure to recommend them to the group or ask us how they can join the group. And it's free to join the group, right? So, okay. Awesome. Love all of you and have a great rest of your night. I see all the hearts. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Fierce and Fit Mentor podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit the follow button on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, or wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. If something in this episode resonated with you, please leave a review or share it with a friend who'd love it too. Your support means the world and helps us reach more amazing women like you. Until next time, stay fierce, stay fit, and let's keep building your most powerful self.